Hello, folks. Who's there? Please say hello. Hello, folks. Who's there? Hey, Kenneth. How are you? Mario. Big up. Um, just trying to share this link here. You guys can do the same if you don't mind. Hey, Mom. Mrs. Hammond is in the place. Let's see how many more people we're gonna get in here. Hey, Gary, what's going on? Hope everybody is doing well. Whoever else is on, please drop a comment, say hello, so we can, give you a shout out. Clovan, Hanif, welcome back. Anybody who's new, it's their first time, put your hands up. We give you a warm welcome. Mr. McCook, Mr. McCool, what's going on, Peter? Yeah, so anybody that's here, just give a quick comment so I know you're here so I can welcome you. And if you're new, let us know you're new so we can, the iGoat chat family can welcome you. Siobhan, welcome. Tonight, I don't even have a topic tonight. Tonight, it's all on you guys. Hey, say hi to Angela for me, Peter. To learn enough blessings. Tonight, I don't have a topic. We're going all over the place. It's all on you guys to ask me any question you want to ask about what we do, how we do what we do, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. It's been pretty crazy busy, and honest truth is I didn't get a chance. One, the time change kind of messed me up. I'm still on the old time, last week time. So I was a little behind, and then I didn't get a chance to properly prepare. So I was like, I haven't done a question and answer in a long time. So here's an opportunity for me to find out what's on everybody's mind. What are their big concerns on their operation? What are the things that that are challenging for you guys, and where you'd like some advice? And as a community, as a group, we can help each other out. So I think that's what we're gonna do tonight, and so it won't be a long session. We'll try to make it brief and with some great information. So that's what tonight's gonna be about. I see the first question from Peter. Before I jump into it, this is what I would like. Monday, the 15th, is my mom's birthday. And she's on the chat. She's become like a regular on the chat now. And so if you guys can wish my mom, Barbara Hammond, a happy birthday for me, that would be amazing. She's like one of Caberant's biggest fan and supporter, and you know, she's always want to know what's going on. And so, if you guys can wish her a happy birthday for me, that would be amazing. Um, so, Mom, happy birthday. See you tomorrow. Link up. Um, Thank you guys. Um, so, first question from Peter is concern about selling price for local curry goat. That's like a loaded question, right? It's a very loaded. Really and truly, the problem we're having with, from my perspective, with selling animals that are meant for meat is the farmer that owns the animal. What is their perception of that animal? Are they thinking that animal is a breeding stock quality animal like a buck? Because I don't believe in butchering females unless it has no use, unless it's barren or something. So is that buck a breeding, it's a stud, them call them stud? Or is that animal just a regular, you know, buck that's good for the pot? It depends on the owner's perception, right? Some people think them animals are stud regardless of how the animal look. It may be stud for some people, but in an operation, you have to decide, you know what I mean, what is your standard? And you have to be honest about it. You know, certain animals, certain buckling that comes out for a farm, I am not selling nobody as a breeding stock because one, I have to look out for how we are perceived out in the marketplace. And I don't want somebody saying, "Oh yeah, I got this buck from Cabo Ranch," and tell me he's a stud. No, if I don't think the buck is gonna bring any value to any operation, I'm telling somebody straight, it's a curry goat. If I have to bust the balls myself, it's a curry goat. Definitely a curry ram. So it's a perception that the owners have, the farmer itself, that say, "Yo, I'm not." For example, I might not see a buck and said and think his buck is a breeding buck, so he's selling it at breeding stock, graded breeding stock price, but he's not thinking about how much the animal weighs, right? And for meat, you have to go off live weight. It is a problem. It's a real big problem. I've seen it, 3 or 4 times this past week in the different forums, and I've seen one question posed to one gentleman selling a buck, how much the buck weigh. I'm saying, no, I'm just price it. But when you break the numbers down, it doesn't make sense. Basically the meat from that buck would be like maybe $1,500-$1,600 when we break down the number per pound. So it doesn't make sense. Now look at the buck. Would I recommend the buck as a stud? I don't see where the buck is gonna add real value unless you have the buck on. And really, what I'm telling you guys, not even on a native herd, I would put the buck because I don't see where it's gonna bring real value. I don't see where it's gonna add value to that herd. So that's my opinion. And for me, I'm gonna tell people straight: if you're not trying to improve, then why are you doing it? It doesn't make any sense going mediocre. Go big or go home. Straight up. Like everything you do, you should try to improve. So it doesn't make sense getting a mediocre buck because you're gonna get mediocre animals. If you're into meat, you want fast growing kids, doesn't make sense getting a mediocre buck. Might as well you wait, save your money, and get a real nice buck that's gonna add value. What is the barometer? I don't know. I don't know what. I'm not an expert on the qualities and the traits. I can just look at the data that I collect, Carber Ranch, the data we collect, we assess it and say, okay, we have an index rating system that tell us which animals are high performing and which ones are the lower performing animals, and we designate them accordingly. What goes to curry pot, what goes to helping a small farmer with a native herd or something, quality graded animal will help them. That's how we do it. I mean, the record keeping that we do will tell us who are the high performers based on birth weight, weaning weight, and daily gains on weight. And the index will tell us who's the better performers. So even if you're getting an animal that you think okay, that animal could be a stud, or that animal will grow fast to get to 80 pounds or whatever in a timely fashion, so you can butcher it. This data will tell you that. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps, Peter. Peter, if you have any follow-up, let me know. If you have any other concerns. What else? Let me see if there's a, can we talk about the process, vaccination, and what's used. Okay, so vaccination. The recommendation for vaccination is that all animals, all goats on your farm should be vaccinated. There's two type of vaccination that's usually available in Jamaica. There is the plus, what is it called? The Covaxin 8 plus and the Covaxin 8. The Covaxin 8 plus, Covaxin plus or Covaxin 8 plus, it's one shot per year. The Covaxin 8, you have to do a shot, and then 6 weeks later, you do another shot, a booster shot. And then after that, it's just one shot per year. Like the first time you have to do it twice. And then after that, it's one shot a year, a booster shot. Now, new kids should be vaccinated at 3 months, at least. That's when the immune system from the mother is wearing off, and you want to give them their own shot, their own thing. So you should always make sure that all your animals are vaccinated. Mothers, best time to vaccinate the mothers on a yearly basis is before they kid, like I think 2 months or a month before they kid, and they will pass on that immunization to the kid. Now, if you don't vaccinate, you have clostridial issues, like it could anytime. There's no warning for it. You know what I mean? And it always affects your best goat or your best kid. You know what I mean? Here on iGoat chat, we've had experience where I finish iGoat chat and go on a kid, on one of our best kids, they're having like seizure type things. And when we looked into it, it's a clostridial situation. The kid was only a month and a half, 2 months. But, that could affect a mature goat. So vaccination is vital. You should do it, because if you're going to have a problem, it's going to hit your best goat. Always, always. It's like clockwork, you know what I mean? And I would suggest you consult with your vet on vaccination. We do vaccination. First, we did it in the neck muscle. Then we start getting these reaction, like abscess type thing from it. So then we changed to under the armpit of the front leg. So because you have to rub it out and it has to be massaged out. So we chose that now. So the more they walk, the more they massage it out. And that helps. Like the first time we did vaccination, like every goat, most like 80% of them that got vaccination, the vaccine site turned into a lump, turned into like an abscess type thing. And we were very concerned. Then we realized it's from the vaccine after bringing in a vet and doing some research. So the whole idea is, once you do it, you got to rub it out, like massage it out into the muscles, massage it out very well. if you do it in the neck muscle. If you do it under the armpit, massage it out also, but then the walking that the animal does would help spread it out, and you won't have such a problem with abscess. And that's the last time we did a series of vaccination, we did under the armpit, like right up here somewhere, this section. So when they walk on the front leg, it massages out. Um, any other questions? Thanks, guys, for wishing my mom a happy birthday. Sure, she's very pleased with that. What's the most suitable product for cold? Okay, I get this question a lot from on WhatsApp and all these things, these messaging platforms. Cold in goats. One, goats will get cold just like how humans get cold, get a cold, right? And cold have to run its course. There's no medication that just get rid of it. It has to run its course. But what you try to do is to minimize the symptoms. Clear the airway so the goat can breathe. You know, make sure the goat has enough energy to continue to eat and all that stuff. What we do, we watch it closely and see if it's clear fluid that's coming from the nostrils and running. We know it's just a mild cold, and DPH and some hemoplex or vitamins to boost up their immune system. The DPH clears up the passageway, the airway, so they can breathe better, and dries up the mucus, right? And you just make sure that they got enough energy, and give them some vitamins, hemoplex, or whatever you have in the form of vitamins to help boost up their immune system, and just pay attention, make sure they're actually getting over it. Now, if the mucus, from my research and our experience, if the mucus start to change color, start to get yellow like humans, where it's getting yellow and thick, then there's an infection that's being developed, like a you know respiratory infection. Could be pneumonia, mild pneumonia, whatever. That's when you should consult your vet for some form of antibiotics to help. We've used, or we've been prescribed by vets, gentamicin, I think it is. But my opinion, my advice to you is consult with your vet. When you see the mucus gets yellow and thick, consult with your vet on what's the best approach. DPH helps with mild cold to clear the passageway, help them breathe. Doesn't make them get all fatigued and hard. When you have a cold and you can't breathe, you get miserable. You feel miserable. You feel like crap. Nostrils, you got to breathe through your mouth, all that stuff. It's the same way for animals. So if you them tell you take flu medicine or cold medicine and it clears it, Mucinex, it clears you up. Doesn't mean the cold is gone. It just lessens the symptoms until the cold has gone through your system, right? So it's the same. It's the same approach. Now, what will cause a cold? Stress cause cold. Travel, the stress of traveling cause cold. Um, Change in weather, drastic change in weather will cause stress and bring on cold. Um, Also, dusty environment. If it's not sanitary, the place is not clean enough, they can contract a cold from that. So it's just like humans, you know. Bear in mind, like I keep telling people, goats are tougher than people think. I When we started, people were constantly telling us about temperature, and I'm like, no, man, like I don't understand. Jamaica doesn't get cold that animal with fur and thick skin on their body can deal with 70, 68 degrees or whatever, 65 degrees temperature. They can. It's the drastic change up that bothers them. If it goes from really hot to really cold, then that's stress on them. But if it gradually change from summertime through fall to winter, and then come December, January, it's cool, it's 68, 70, 70 whatever, or even 65 some places in Jamaica, the goats will handle it if they're healthy, stress free, and have, you know, good body condition. That little bit of chill not bother them. You know what I mean? It's not gonna harass them. So um, keeping the goats healthy and and give them proper nutrition is what helps, what keeps them healthy. So that is my advice on that one. Next question is, I'm realizing that I'm seeing my goals, whether some stuff that I was told if happened they would die. You gotta explain that for me, Hanif. I'm realizing that. Oh, I guess you're doing a comment on my explanation. I'm realizing that I'm seeing my goals, whether some stuff that I was told. Yeah. Um, if your goats are healthy, your goats will can deal with some chilly weather. Like if they're healthy and have good nutrition, they can handle some chilly weather. They're built for that. You know what I mean? It's the stress that gets their immune system down. If they're sick, if they got um, worm load, drastic change in conditions, stress is the number one reason for animals to get cold and them things. Stress. I got it, Hanif. So just keep your animals healthy, and they will be able to deal with. And keep in mind, the last month of pregnancy is when females are most prone to getting sick, most prone to getting overload and worm load, most prone to get cold, more like their immune system is low. That's why you got to boost their protein intake, their all that stuff, because you got to help them, because everything the body's focusing on making sure those kids or that kid is good, is healthy, is growing, is gonna produce a healthy kid. The body is focused on the kid, and the immune system will drop. So you gotta, that's why they say increased nutrition and and decreased stress level, because you can have abortion from stress level. Everything changes. Stress, number one problem. You know what I mean? And stress come in many ways. Stress come in drastic change in weather, traveling, um, unsanitary conditions, parasites, external, internal parasites. Yeah, like stress level comes from many things. Stress in animals comes from many things. You know, um, say Chelsea, not to, from Chelsea Best Farm is saying, keep them out the rain as much as possible. I don't worry about that myself, because I want my animals to be hardy animals. I don't rain a come unless I know it's gonna rain all day. Then I'm like, yo, don't even send them out there, because they're just gonna stand up in the rain for the most part, right? They're not gonna eat. But if they're out there and I say, oh, it's gonna rain, I don't take them in. I'm like, yo, let them get a little rain. Let them learn to deal with a little rain. Let them handle a little rain. Hardiness. Learn to get some wet. Like, I don't want animals that can deal with rain. I know that they don't like being on wet ground, but the pasture drains so well. It's covered in grass. Like, they're not standing in water. They're not standing in puddles. So if rain's gonna rain for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'm not rushing them. You gotta deal with that. You know what I mean? Stand there, take some rain. Yeah. And then when you come in, you're good. But if they're home and it's raining hard, I don't want them standing on ground. They gotta be off the ground and out off water, off the wet floor and all that stuff. Because they don't like that, and that increased their stress level big time. You know, keep the as Mr. Archer says right here, keep the environment or housing dry and not dusty. Dust increase um, respiratory infections. It will make it worse. It's just like humans. You know what I mean? If you have allergy and you go into a dusty place, you start run, start run like river. If you have that kind of allergy, I deal with it all the time. I have a dust allergy problem or pollen problem, allergy problem. Certain plants, they're like I just start sneezing and nose start running like river. So dust and them thing is a big problem for them. The stress of all that will let them get sick. If you have like 2 3 days of rain like we had last year, I wouldn't send them out. Keep them in because they're not gonna eat. They're not gonna eat. They're just gonna stand in the rain and try and find the highest ground and stand there. If you follow, like on my phone, I have the weather app that's pretty accurate to my location, and I just know how long the rain's gonna fall and the percentage. What's the percentage of rain's gonna fall? What is the 60% chance, 80% chance? They're not going out. They're gonna stay in because they're not gonna be eating while they're out there. But if I see like, oh, rain's gonna fall for about 30 minutes between 11 and 1 o'clock, no, hang in there, man. It's not that bad. If I see it changes and it just keep going, then I'm like, okay, get them in. Let's get them in. Because the objective for me is to make sure they eat. Um, can it be the gene of a buck that causes the female to have one kid? That is a very good question. Like I've seen the debate over and over on that. Is it the buck that's throwing singles, or is it the female that's throwing singles? I've done some serious research and read some papers, some articles, watch some videos on this thing. And my takeaway from it, it goes both ways. Honestly, it goes both ways. Mr. Archer, who's way more experienced in here, can drop a comment if he feels differently. But from my research and from talking to different people, that single kid thing goes both ways. Their bucks can throw single kid, and mothers can have that gene that just throws single kids. So it goes both ways. You have to be observant, and this is where record keeping comes in, right? You have to say, okay, this female 3 times in a row single kid. Do you want to keep her? You may want to keep her if she produces amazing big kids. If she's a milking animal and she produces a lot of milk and the kids produce a lot of milk, you may want to keep her. Now, if you have a buck and you keep records of how the buck is producing and you realize, 60%, 7% of the time of the mothers from this buck is single. And the easy way to find out is switch up. If you have 2 bucks, you switch the mothers to another buck and see what they do with the other buck. And if you realize that this buck is consistently doing singles, then gotta go. Call that animal. So in my opinion, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. It's just a matter of having good records to recognize what the animals are doing. Good evening, Mr. Wayne Reed. Respect, boss. Thanks for being here. Here's Anthony's opinion on it, replying to no, gene can cause the sex of the kid, but not the amount of kids. I don't know, man. My research say, there's animals that just consistently drop one kid, mothers. And from talking to people have had experience where, a buck can just throw singles consistently or in a higher percentage. You know what I mean? It's a matter of paying attention. I don't know if the science is developed enough to dictate and be able to identify which animal is going to do that, I think your best bet is to keep good records and pay attention to what each animal is doing, especially if you're concerned about your buck. You know what I mean? Do an assessment after each kidding season that you use that buck and say, okay, how many females? Is this a balance thing, or is it, more females than males, or more males than females? On our farm, we've had an experience where the season flips. One season, Samson gave us 20 males and 4 females with the mothers that he was served. And those mothers were usually, split on their production. And then the next round of mothers that he serviced, it was almost 50%. So, we don't know if it could be the season, it could be anything. I don't know. So we keep track and see if we know he's not consistently throwing more males than females. Maybe it's, as we say in Jamaica, a buck season. You know what I mean? Okay, so um, Clavon wants me to talk about flushing, and does it really help with the kidding production? Okay, flushing. Um, so I've been doing, because yeah, dude, folks, people who know me, like really close to me, know that I'm always reading, watching videos, listening to podcasts, watching seminars, all that stuff, listening to seminars to see if there's anything new, any new technology they're utilizing, any new discoveries that I can take advantage of. I'm always looking. So now, 2 weeks ago, I was watching this, was basically listening because it's just slides and somebody talking, but it was a YouTube video about the flushing process. And based on their research, Linda Coffey, I think her name was talking about it. Based on their research, flushing has more effect on sheep than it has on goats. However, they still recommend it for goats because of the success rate in healthy breeding season or cycle, right? But they don't find that it increases on with the number of kids that are born. They haven't seen a drastic change for them to justify or confidently say flushing increase the number of kids. What it does show that it produces it conception rate is a little better because the mothers are healthier and their system is more conducive to breeding, but they don't find that they get more kids, right? Um, but in the sheep, they find that flushing will increase the number of lambs that are born. I mean, it will increase from from twins to triplets to quads based on the flushing. They have a better success rate with the number of kids of flushing sheep than goats. I suggest you flush your females because if it's going to help increase the conception rate and healthier breeding cycle, doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt. Does it take longer for a female to come back on heat while sucking a kid? I think it's bit depends on the animal. I find from on our farm, the healthier and the healthier the mother is, the better condition the mother is after giving birth, the sooner she'll go back in heat. That's our observation. Mothers that are in great condition after they have kid will go back in heat sooner than the ones that went through a stressful kidding or their system up wasn't well conditioned as it should have been. It takes them longer to rebound and feel like, oh yeah, I can breathe again. You know. Um, yes, Natty. I will share anytime I find a seminar or something online that I think would help the community, help our family. I'll post it on the iGoat Chat Facebook page. If you're not a member of the iGoat Chat Facebook page, you should join it because I'll be posting a lot of valuable information. And anything that I find valuable, and I think I'm getting valuable information from learning something from, I will share it. Um, what else? What if the dough is already in good condition? If you're talking about the breeding, if the dough is already in good condition, are we talking about the flushing? All right, Delando, flushing. The process of flushing is this is how it works. If you have animals that are grazing and or they're maintenance animals, do you know what a maintenance mother, mother, a mother that's in maintenance mode of the production cycle on Cabo Ranch, and I'm sure other farms, we have three production modes, right? You got the maintenance that's between kids where they're just the kids are weaned off of them or they're in early pregnancy and they're just open, not pregnant. That's maintenance mode for us. And then there's production mode where they are about to have kid or have kids on them sucking, and that's the production. I call that production mode. And then we have another one where the milking, right? The milking program, right? So maintenance mothers or mothers that are open to for breeding or they're in early pregnancy. And these goats usually for us don't need as high of attention or nutrition program. They just in what we call maintenance mode. You don't want them to get too fat. You don't want them to get too skinny. You want to keep them at a healthy thing. So flushing is those maintenance mothers that are open for breeding. You select 10 goat that you want to breed and they're from the maintenance group. You pull them and you start feeding them extra nutrition, whether it's extra grain or whatever, and it tells their system. You do it for like 2 weeks to a month. And it tells their system, tell their system, oh, I'm getting more nutrition. Their system is saying, oh, it's great. Now I feel a little stronger. I can breed. So their system start producing, when they start cycling, they start producing more eggs because they're getting that extra boost in their system and they feel comfortable that, oh yeah, I can breed now. It's like a trick their system. So that's the flushing process. And so the whole idea is that you trick their system to think they're getting more food, they're getting more nutrition, so their system start producing more eggs because them feel more fertile, more stronger and everything, and the system start producing more eggs. So that's the flushing process, and it obviously gets them bigger, stronger, you know, better body conditioning. Yeah. So that's what it is. That's what flushing is. If the goat, Gary, if the goats are already in good condition, the flushing process can still work if you give them a little extra grain. It because they're getting it, their system is gonna say, "Oh, I'm getting some extra thing. I feel better. I feel stronger. I feel more energy. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? Doesn't even matter if they're in great condition already. It's just a trick to the system, and they call it flushing. You know, like people who use just pastures for flushing, they will have specific pastures that has high crude protein percentage in that pasture, and they'll turn out the sheep or the goats in that pasture, and that's their flushing system. That's their flushing process because the animals now are getting alfalfa or whatever it is that's higher percentage in crude protein, and they feel they feel better about it, right? So that's the flushing process. Do you think it's a good idea for a few farms to venture into silage making so they can sell it to other farmers just like how they do the hay? Yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer is you have to be consistent. You have to have the land, and you have to have the system to set up to be consistent. You cannot start it and then 2 months down the road you say, "Yo, man, no, go on, nothing." Like I don't believe in that, and that's why we don't do it because I don't. Our thing is not set up for us to consistently make silage at this point. We don't have the machinery to consistently make silage. It's something that I'm looking in strongly for the new year, how I can get it done. You know, we should consult with Khalil because our ex Damon Crawford, he has a brand new, high tech, high capacity silage machine that he just installed, and maybe that's something they're gonna do. He has the land and he has the machine to do it. So that's maybe he's gonna get into that. We should find out. I'll find out. I'll ask him and see what he says. But remember, he has close to 500 goats, so don't know if he has the ability to sell any, or he's gonna need every bag. Yes, Delando, flushing works on any open female. Yeah, and just remember, be patient with first timers. I think native are quicker to to get pregnant, whatever. But the hybrid goats and purebred full blood, be patient with them. Let them develop. You know, I for us on Cabo Ranch, we nothing less than a year. Nubians we discover sometime 18 months. You know, but be patient with them. Um, here's an inquiry from Chelsea. Anybody know where the blue barrels can be purchased? The black covers. Natty from Chelsea Best Farms looking. Um, yeah, I think if you have an acre of land or 2 acres of land, and you want to have you want to increase your stocking rate of how many animals you have, use that land as your cut and carry fodder, whether you plant hay or you do silage. I believe strongly that silage is a better option. Some people like hay, but I would rather do silage than hay, really, because you can actually do a TMR with silage more than you can with hay, you know. But it depends on the grass that you're using. You got to determine which one has a higher nutrient value, right? And and like hay, you got to make sure you cut it at the right time. With silage, you can add things to it during the process to improve on the nutrient value of the grass that you're using to make the silage. So if you're not going to be religious in cutting the hay at the right time, then silage is a better option because you can add stuff to it to improve on the nutrient value. Um, yeah, we do silage, and I think we always have like 10, 20 bags of silage. We need to do some in the new year, but um, I find silage to be more efficient for us. But you got to do your own assessment. You know what I'm saying? You got to do your own assessment based on what's available to you. If you have a open land with pangola grass, then you know, do some consultation, find somebody to advise you. And yo, when is the best time to cut this? And cut it at that time so you can preserve the hay at the highest nutrient level, like when it's at its best, and utilize it. I mean, if you just have king grass and guinea grass and them things, then maybe silage is your best bet. You know, that's I strongly believe in finding a way to utilize what's available to you. Get your animals used to what's around them. Get them in the process of eating the forage that's around them. So that means you will always have fodder available for them. If you're pulling stuff from the other part of the island and feeding it to them, and that supply gets cut off, now you go into a whole new adjustment period for them feeding what's around you. Consistently feed the stuff that's around you, whether it's trumpet leaf or quick stick or guango leaf or guinea grass, king grass, napier, pangola, African star, jackfruit tree, breadfruit tree, whatever it is. Get your animals used to it. Um, what is the most important thing to consider when entering the goat business, whether you're doing milk or meat or genetics? I assume genetics mean breeding stock. Ah, okay, if you're gonna go into goat business or any business whatsoever, any livestock business, any business, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? What problem are you solving? If you're going into it to make a money, you're going into it for the wrong reasons. If you're going in it to add value to people's lives or to solve a problem, the money will come. And this, let me explain myself for those who don't understand that concept. Jamaica import most of their meat, whether it's mutton or chevron or whatever, they import a lot of it, right? If you're going into into goat business to help supply that meat, if your objective is to help supply that meat to offset that import bill, then your focus will be how much meat can I produce? Your focus won't be how soon can I get some money back. Your focus will be, yo, I need to increase my meat production. I need to get my system lean and mean, lean and efficient so I can produce more animals. If you're going into it from milk, your focus will be get the right animals, produce the most milk. If your focus is just to get the money, you will end up losing. You will get frustrated. You will end up quitting. But if your objective is one thing, just focus on it. I want to produce 100 pounds of meat, 1,000 pounds of meat per month, whatever it is. You want to focus on that and get to that goal. You're solving a problem. If you're into genetics and you say, oh, Jamaica needs better genetics, I need to have everybody in a Jamaica. I want to be able to, like King Curry always talk about, if it's up to him, native goat not exist. Because him objectives, everybody should have hybrid goat or purebred full blood. He's not talking about the money. He has a bigger goal. The money will come from that process. So if you're into genetics and you want to be the number one breeder, your focus is gonna be like, how do I improve my stock? How do I get the better genetics? The money will come. You know, outside of farming, people, you look at Instagram, Facebook, all those other enterprises, they're providing a service, adding value to people's lives, and then the money will come. They see a void, they fill it, the money will come. You know what I mean? You're in a community, you go around, you realize, say, yo, everybody have to go 2, 3, 4 miles, go get some egg, all them thing. You start the egg production because you're in tune with your community. You realize that nobody around you produce no egg. You fill that void and start a little egg farm. You know what I mean? Add value to people's lives and you're winning. That's the most important thing to consider starting any business or even goat business. That's the number one thing. What are you doing it for? What value you're adding to the sector or to people's lives? You know, for us, Trudy always like, yo, I definitely want to make goat milk products a thing in Jamaica, like a real thing. That's her goal. That's her objective. Money aside, that is her thing. All kinds of goat milk products. Make it a thing. Make it that people who are lactose intolerant, people who have sensitive skin, let them know that goat milk products, lotion, soap, all that thing can help them. You know? Yeah. So I could go on and on about this. What's the most important thing? But to me, anybody in here think differently can drop it in the comment. But I think your purpose is what's most important. Why are you doing it? That's it. You got that question you need to answer. Um, Next question. I don't know if I'm missing anything. What do you recommend for a native that has taken ram twice but not with kid? First thing you do is change the buck. Try a different buck on her. And if the other buck don't get it done, then you know something's wrong with this goat. If you're sure she's cycling, something may be wrong with her. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Paul says, welcome, boss. Just highlight your comment. Yeah, agree. The animals must perform on a feed that grows naturally. Yep. If they can perform and get used to the forage that surround them, feed security in place. See, yeah, there's Lincoln endorsing my comment. Money will come once you provide a service and bring value to people. The money will come. Don't worry about the money. Just deliver your service with quality. Bring value to people. The money will come. It will. It doesn't mean that you don't have to. You have to still be a businessman. You still got to let people know you exist. You got to do all of that process. But the number one thing is find your purpose. Bring value to people. The gentleman that asked about the native that's missing, that can't get bred, that won't breed, Paul said butcher the goat. But I would suggest you try with another buck before you butcher the goat. Ricardo, if you're asking what could be possibly wrong with the goat, it could be, I'm not a vet, so it could be fertility problems. She could not be producing eggs. There could be a number of things. That's a question for a vet. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. If the goat's not producing and you tried many times, it's cheaper to cull the goat than to get a vet to operate and find out why. You know what I mean? It's cheaper. It's way cheaper to cull the goat because that goat's definitely not worth what the vet's gonna charge you. If I have the acreage, what would be a good mix of forage to plant? Okay, if you have the acreage, I'm going to tell you this, and this could be controversial for some people. And if, give me a comment, drop me a comment if your operation is good. Say yes, your operation is good. Hanif, because what I'm going to answer your question here, and it may be controversial, but I'm going to tell you my opinion. But I need to know if your thing is good first before I answer, because this is specifically for goats. All right, so here's the deal. For example, if you have 15 acres, 20 acres of land, and let's say it's decent landscape, but it's wooded, like woolly trees. Here's what I suggest you do. You cut down some of the trees, enough of them, and so sunlight can, so it cuts the canopy. You know how wooded land have the tree canopy so the sunlight don't come in, so nothing grows below those trees because sunlight can come in. You cut out enough of those trees so sunlight can come in, and just let it be for a year and watch what grows out on there. Just let it, once sun can come in and hit the ground, just watch and see what grows. And if you're into goat, if goats is your intention, don't plant nothing. Let the whatever naturally grows there. Once sun start hitting the ground, whatever grass is local to that area will start coming up. Whatever shrubs, whatever weeds, whatever, it's gonna start coming up once sun start hitting that ground. And remember, goats are not grazers. Goats are browsers. They browse mostly. If they have a choice, they're gonna browse. The ideal pasture for goats is a diverse pasture with grass, brush, weed, everything. So let it just grow and see what grows in it, and then put the animals in there and let them have a feast. you will find healthier animals. Do not go digging the whole thing up and plant Pangola or African Star or Guinea grass or King grass or whatever. No. Depends on the area you are in. Right? If you're in an area that doesn't get a lot of rain and all them things, and that's a different ball game because maybe you have to figure it out. Like if you're on the south coast where there's not a lot of trees and it's just whatever, then you have to figure that out. But if you're on the northeast side, the north side, northeast side, where you get enough rain and wooded land, that is my suggestion to you. I was told I need to dig up my guinea grass and all them things, plow it up and plant this and plant that. When I did pasture assessment on my pasture, it's 17, 18% crude protein because it's so diverse and it's guinea grass mostly in there. But between the guinea grass, you got all these legumes, all this waste and all these things that the animals love. And that's why they thrive on our pasture. Diverse pasture is ideal for goats. Not just guinea grass, not just Pangola, not just African star, not just king grass. Diversity. And they're healthier because they may be eating some brush, some weed that provides certain medication for them. And only them know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a, you know, I mean, I'm not doing the research, but based on conversations and based on listening to all these seminars and I think animals that, okay, I don't even have to tell you guys. How many times you see people, those goats you see run up and down with our road and all them things, and just go a bush and come back? How many times those goats get wormed? They don't get dewormed because when they go out there, they eat whatever they need to keep them healthy, and because they're not repeat where they go to, because they can choose wherever they want to go. They're healthy, but they're eating a diverse forage, diverse, you know what I mean? What them call it, salad bar, massive salad bar. Them can pick and choose what them want to eat. Um, well, you know what I mean? If you're gonna do, yeah. So Natty is saying if you have the acreage, you're gonna have some animals that stays in. Thanks, Natty. You're gonna have some animals that stay in, so you should have a fodder bank that you can cut and carry from. But if you have the acreage, make sure your maintenance mothers are grazing. Set up, do the work, do the research, do the whatever, set up a rotational system through that acreage. And you will always have feed. Trust me. That's what I did. And trust me, my pasture, I wish I had more trees on the pasture. Peter, my cook is gonna help me get some fruit trees to put out there. I don't know how long they'll take, but I wish I had more trees in the pasture to create shade. Those animals will eat a lot more in the summertime. If some of that open, you see that big open pasture there. Wish there was some good, nice fruit trees out there, the orange tree, a little apple tree, or something out there that they can hide under in the summertime. Like the areas they go graze that has trees, they eat way more. I notice it in the summertime. They eat a lot more when they go behind the cottages up on that hillside where there's those big, massive trees. When they eat at the front where the guango tree is, they eat a lot more because they're not getting that hot sun on them. And they can just relax under a cool tree and just eat them all day. So, yeah. Um, Um, so Lushane, see this, everybody's always talking about the spread nut thing. I'm not a nutritionist, but one thing we've learned is too much bread nut can be a problem. Too much protein, too much high protein forage or feed can be a problem. So be careful how much you feed. The diversity is the key. Add bread nut to your cut and carry thing. Don't just feed the bread nut straight. That is my opinion based on talking to people. Al Archer is here. He'll tell you. You know what I mean? The last incident with Oral Robinson was bread nut or one of those high protein forage. So you got to be careful how you use these. Um, Hanif, what fodder? Okay, so if you're gonna create a fodder bank, you got to think about what grass is easy to harvest, to cut, and how fast it will grow back. If you do a fodder bank, it depends on the area you are in. You may need to irrigate it, fertilize it for it to grow fast. There is, hybrid grass like, Mombasa and them things. Just consult the professionals when you're doing it on what you're gonna plant. Um, and and then, as I said, diversity is the key. So even if you have a fodder bank with just king grass or guinea grass or Mombasa or whatever it is, still include some quick stick. The best thing to do is your fence line, plant quick stick in your fence line. So you'll always be able to put in some quick stick in a thing. Because quick stick is like feeding grain. Seriously. So um any other question? Yeah, guys, if you doing fencing your farm or fencing whatever, plant quick stick. Because that's feed. That's feed you can harvest and feed all the time. Quick stick, or I don't know what other parts of the country what them call it. But that's feed. Any other questions? Let's see if I miss anything. Hmm. Look like I didn't miss any questions. If I miss any of you guys' questions, please repeat it for me, please, and I will address it to the best of my ability. As usual, whatever I tell you guys is what I've learned from the research I've done and the people I've talked to and the practices that we have at Cabo Ranch. Right? So, as I tell you, I'm not a goat expert. I'm just diligent about finding answers to issues that I see arise on the farm, or if I need to change something or do something new. I do a lot of research on it and talk to a lot of people. You know, can parasites be transferred to the pasture that way? Yeah, I think I went into this last week, a couple weeks ago. Was it last week? About parasite management. Um, one second, Natty, before I answer that. Kenneth, another way for quick stick is Sylvain, them call it in St. Mary too, and quick steak or something. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's had many different names, but it's that tree that you plant in fence and they just grow. Yeah. Okay, Chelsea, Natty, here's the deal with parasites. And I went over this last week, parasite management. Your animals, if an animal develop a worm load and get sick, if you should pull that animal from going to pasture, even if you deworming the animal, because they're gonna pass out those worms on the pasture. And if you bring new animals on the farm, you should deworm those animals before you send them to your pasture. Because if they bring in new worms or whatever that wasn't on your farm, they're gonna transfer that to your pasture. So the best way of managing Part of parasite management on the farm is also proper pasture management when it comes to how much worms and them things you let the animals drop on the pasture. You know what I'm saying? So um, that's how you do it. Yes, Howard. Yeah, the scientific name is Gliricidia. So Kenneth, you can look it up and you'll see the pictures. And there's two or three different ones that look leaves are bigger, smaller, yeah, but they're all high protein, amazing superfood for goats. But use it in a ration, mix it up. Don't just feed it by itself. Um, is it? I see more people doing goats than sheep. Is it that goats are more profitable than sheep? I think goats has a more accessible market than sheep, and that's the reason why more people are doing goats. A lot of Jamaicans don't eat lamb. You know, like lamb is expensive. It's like high end restaurants and hotels. But at this stage, a lot of people eat curry goat, managed water. It's a more accessible market. More people are breeding goats, So that's the reason why more people do goats. If there was a more accessible market for sheep, more people will be into sheep. Jamaicans is all about goats. If you use, I understand, but as if you use the goat manure as fertilizer, don't use the goat manure as well. The if you're gonna use goat manure as fertilizer, let the manure break down a bit before you spread it. And if the goat are dropping them thing on the pasture, you don't. What I said last week, the pasture should get at least 6 weeks rest before you go back to it, so the life cycle of the worm expires. And the ideal thing is to rest it for even 60 days if you don't have another species like cows that go through it and help clean it up. Because cows are dead end hosts for parasites that affect goats. All right, Natty. Yeah, don't just put the goat manure on the pasture without resting the pasture, or let the manure breaks down, which will then kill the worms that are in there. Um, any other questions? Yeah, Natty, I suggest. I don't, Natty. I don't know if you didn't see last week's. Was it last week that I did parasite management? Yeah. I suggest you go watch it on YouTube or the iGoat chat Facebook page, and it'll give you a lot of insight on parasite management and how it affects your pastures. Right. Any other questions? Okay, cool, nothing. No problem. All right. It looks like we have a lot of very well educated good farmers on the show tonight because nobody have any more question. How does a silage work? Thanks, sir. So silage is a anaerobic process. Like, so it works like this: you get grass or forage leaves, whatever, cut it up, and you need an inoculant, something to help break it down. So you could use molasses to speed up the process. So you cut up the grass, you sprinkle, molasses, a ratio of molasses and water, and sprinkle it on it. Some people put other things in there to speed it up too. And you put it in a airtight container, whether it's a barrel or plastic bag. They have thick silage specific bags, plastic bags for silage, but it has to be airtight. And the machines will compress, the silage machines will compress the cut grass, the shaft grass, compress it tight, tight, tight. So it presses out all the air out of it. And like the ones we have, each bag is about 50, 60 pounds once it's compressed and it's tight. And you tie that bag airtight, or if it's a drum, you seal the drum airtight, and that the grass won't spoil. It will ferment. It's an anaerobic process where it gets fermented from the sugar and the molasses, and everything just works on it, and it changes the composition of the grass. Like it cures it, right? And preserve the nutrients in it. And you can use it after a month or 2 months. They have new inoculants that will do it in 3 weeks, but you can store it for a year, 2 year. As long as air doesn't get into the container, it will stay in that state for that long. And that's the silage process. If you watch YouTube videos and big silage, big farm operation, livestock operations, they will do silage in plastic tubes. You can see it on the big farm properties, this big, long, huge white plastic tube. And that's silage that's in it. They just stuff it with, acres and acres of grass that they cut and stuff that plastic tube and close it up, and it sits there, and people use it to feed their animals over the winter. Yeah. So it's once air doesn't get into it, it won't go bad. When you do it when we do it in Jamaica, and if we open a new bag, anything on the top that may have some mildew on it, you take it and throw it away. Same way, if you open a barrel and then the top 2 inches or 3 inches, may have some mildew on it because air touches it. Whatever, you take that off, throw it away, and the good silage should smell nice and sweet and smell like beer or something like that, and will just smell good. You can just know that it's good. You smell it, there's no funky smell to it. It actually smells sweet. And yeah, and it has a nice look to it. Doesn't look rotten or whatever. It just have a nice look to it. And you'll tell that it's good. And if once you don't once you open it, once you open a bag, open a barrel, you gotta use it up, because you can't seal it back and expect it to stay. Because once air gets into it, it's gonna start spoiling. I don't recommend. We use molasses to to help with the silage process. Sugar, I've never heard of using sugar, but it's possible. But sugar is an expensive product, isn't it? If you want to supply the meat market, what is the best number of breeding females do you need? Um, that's a question that depends on what your target is. Like, okay, let's say you want to let's say you want to supply a supermarket, and they say, yo, I'm gonna need 1,000 pounds of meat every week. Then you know that you're gonna need a hell of a lot of animals. The best approach, I think, people should take starting a meat operation is, one, If you're new to the to goat business, you need to start with a manageable number of animals to get the knack of it. Then you should start building out your customer base. How do you consistently supply 5 people, 10 people, 15 people, 20 people? Build it out from there. You can't just quickly take up a contract for to deliver to 20 people and you don't know how you're going to do it. Build it up. Start with 5, start with 10 people. Figure out how you're going to package it, how you're going to make these 10 people feel special. How you're going to consistently supply them with what they need. What system you're going to put in place. What is your production system? What is your breeding schedule? Those are the things you got to take into consideration. It's not about how many animals. It's about the system. It's about the production system. It's about the delivery system. It's about the process. How do you get it done? How do you consistently deliver to the one supermarket or the one little restaurant? When that restaurant call you, do you always have product for them? Or do they say, yo, every week I want you to deliver 20 pound of meat? Every weekend, I'm going to do managed water and curry goat for the weekend. We're going to need 50 pound, 100 pound of meat. You know that you can deliver it every week. What production system do you need to put in place to make sure you have that all the time? How many animals do you need to breed to have that consistent supply? And then you figure it out, get a well-oiled system going, and then start scaling it. You say, yo, I'm gonna add 10 more females to the system, to production. That mean I'm gonna get another 5 or 6 bucks to add to the meat program. How much more meat that is? How long do I feed them for? Like, it's a system. You gotta just. There's no magic number to how many animals you should start with. It's what the demand is and what you can manage. There's no magic number. Not in my opinion, anyways. You know what I mean? Ask Damian Crawford about the troubles on trials and crosses he went through, thinking that he could just stock up with 300-400 goat, and ask him what happened. He'll tell you. He came pretty close to selling it out. There is a substitute for molasses. I don't remember the name of it. But Khalil Brown knows. Khalil, let's touch base with Khalil. Khalil know the name. There's a new thing that he's been using on that Silage tour that he's been doing. There's a new inoculant that he's been using. I don't know if it's cheaper, so we should find out from him. I don't see him on iGoat chat lately anymore, so yeah, let's find out from him. He has a new thing that he's been using. I don't know if it's cheaper. Let me see. Yeah, the gentleman that asked about the meat number animals, I think you should Shane, you should focus on your system, your production system, your breeding system. How do you consistently produce animals for your meat program, and how many animals you'll need per month based on your target? Focus on that and then start figuring out how to scale it. There's no magic number. If you try to do the magic number thing, you're gonna get in trouble. Yeah. Here Howard saying Khalil did mention the inoculant. um, inoculant in his last video, or one of his videos that he does silage. So I refer you to that. Go check it out. So yeah, I think that's it for tonight. I hope I brought, as I keep saying, some value to um, to our little family here. I think I try to answer all the questions to the best of my ability, and I always keep in mind I am not a vet. I am not a goat expert. I can only tell you things that work for us on Cabo Ranch and the things that don't work. I've always say, in doubt, consult a vet or consult your mentor or your support group. You know what I mean? There's different platform Facebook groups that you can just drop a questions and people answer and give you advice or whatever. But get a mentor, somebody you trust, somebody you see doing it right, and have them guide you. You know. Um, oh, you mean the sugarcane, Delano? Be careful with the sugarcane. Khalil will also tell you what he did sugarcane silage, and it wasn't as palatable or digestible for the animals. So the sugarcane thing, be careful of that. And we got a couple bags of that sugarcane silage from them when they tried it. And when I opened that thing, Virgin, it almost drunk me. Remember, I'm gonna tell you, almost drunk me. I had to I had to mix that up and dilute with grass and all kinds of things because I was scared to feed the animals because I was pretty sure I would have a bunch of drunk animals. Like that thing was so strong, it smelled like a rum bottle. So be careful with that one. I think it's too much sugar in it. You know what I mean? So yeah. But thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it as usual. I hope that I answered the questions to some level of satisfaction. And if you guys have any other questions, you know how you can reach us. And anybody in the family here, the iGoat chat family, that you know, there's King Corey that's always putting information out there. There's Sheldon, Howard, all these people who have some knowledge, and we'll try to help new farmers, young farmers, try to help them the best we can. Um, Appreciate it. And if you're not a member of the iGo chat group on Facebook, please do, because we're going to be posting more and more valuable information on there. And see you guys next week. Appreciate it. And have a great rest of the weekend. Yeah, here's before I go, here's Anthony saying grass alone can make silage, but I think it takes longer for the process to take place without the inoculant, without the help of an inoculant. So yeah. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you all. Anthony, big up. Thanks to everybody who participate, you know, everybody that have questions. Thanks for participating and posting your questions. And thanks to everybody who chimed in and helped me out answering some of these questions with their inputs. We appreciate it. Enough respect. See you guys. Oh, by the way, I don't think there will be an iGo chat next week because Trudy's birthday is Thursday, the 18th. Trust me, you guys are going to know because I'm going to make sure we know. Everybody knows. Let me confirm that because I don't want to get in trouble. If it's Thursday the 18th, it's Trudy's birthday. So I don't think we'll have an iGo chat on the Saturday because most likely the Saturday is when we'll be doing a celebration of her birthday. So I'll post and let you guys know so y'all can wish her happy birthday, and see you guys the following week. Next week is gonna be a off week or a celebration week. So see you guys the following week, and we'll all just wish her happy birthday. And she's gonna celebrate her birthday all week, and I'm pretty sure of it anyway. So y'all will see it. But I appreciate you all and thank you. See you guys the week after.